If you know nothing about RPM discs, you probably hear some people talk about them and you just don't know what's going on. It can be a little bit confusing. We have all our discs named after birds, but this is going to be my full breakdown of every RPM mold that I currently have with me. I think I got them all. Fingers crossed. The first mold that I'm going to talk about today is the Tui. This is RPM's most understable putter, and it's quite quick for a putter, quite glidey. You can throw it reasonably far for what a putter is. Very nice for turnovers, great for wood shots, everything. But with the Tui, I would not recommend that you putt with it. It's just because it's that flippier profile that it doesn't hold up in the wind very well. So if you're going to choose a putting putter, I wouldn't choose the Tui. I used to putt with the Tui, and it can work in the magma plastics, but just because it doesn't hold up in the wind, I personally chose to go away from that. That's the Tui. Next we have the Ruru. This is the middle stability putter from RPM. It's not as shallow as a Tui, but not as deep as a Taku, and it really is in the middle in terms of stability as well. I only have one with me at the moment, and this is a 130 gram one, so the videos that I'll show you of how it flies won't really give you a full picture. But the Ruru for me is, I throw it on hyzer, it'll pop up and get a little bit of turn, but nowhere near as much as a Taku. And this is just a really nice straight shot putter. If you've got a slower arm speed, it can work as an overstable approach disc as well. Yeah, it pretty much does whatever you want it to do. But me personally, I don't throw it just because the Taku is a bit more torque resistant. And that's what we're going to talk about next. The Taku. I personally putt with these and I throw these. These yellow ones are my favorite, the first ones. If you have any, I like them. So yeah, they start out really nice and stable out of the box, just reliable fade, but they still have that straight push that you're looking for in a throwing putter. Very consistent. They don't hold up the best in the wind, but you're going to get that from a putter anyways. I think as far as overstable putters go, they do that pretty well while still being like shapeable. And I actually bag multiple Takus because once they beat in, I like the flight profile for the turnovers. And my flippy Taku has won me a lot of money in the past. Yeah, so if you can get your hands on a yellow Taku or just any Taku, I'd really recommend throwing them. They're really nice. I like them. You should probably like them if you throw it. Yeah, grab a Taku. Next up is a Pew Walker. Pew Walkers are the understable mid-range from RPM. They are nice and domey, usually, but they almost have like a fairway driver-like profile. So again, RPM really like these discs that are quicker than other discs that kind of do the same thing. So I can throw a P-Walk a long way, but it's flippy, they don't hold up too well in the wind. I still bag one because they're really nice in the woods when you need those really tight hyzer flips. Really good beginner discs, this and Tui. If you're a beginner, pick up one of them. They will change your game forever. They were one of the first discs that I got, and I still throw them, so they really do have utility all throughout your career. Yeah. Next disc I'm going to talk about is my workhorse mid-range, the Taku. This disc is, it's exactly what you want in a mid-range. This is my nice beaten in one. This one is just getting to the point where I can hammer it just a tiny bit of hyzer. It'll just hold it the whole way. Just at the end, get a tiny wee little bit of fade. It's got that nice classic overstable mid-range profile. Fresh out of the box, they're nice and overstable. The wind's not going to touch it. It's just beautiful flight patterns consistently. They really do everything that you need it to do. And then, like I say, once they beat in nicely, it's just beautiful for any shot shape you want, really. I can throw this on any, I can throw it on hyzer. And another bonus of them is if you get them in the magma plastic, they will beat in quicker, and they make really nice understable mid-ranges. If you watch footage from the Bottle Lake Open 2024, I throw a magma Taku on a lot of holes, and that's just because they're easy to get the flip out of, and then they just ride straight. Yeah, I really would recommend a Taku. It's one of my favorite RPM discs at the moment. Next disc, the RPM Kia. The older runs are a bit more straight than what I would like, because the RPM Kia is supposed to be just that zone, gator, just overstable. You can throw it as hard as you want, you know where it's going to go. But as you'll see, some of these older runs, they just straighten out a little bit too much. So if you're going to get one of the newer runs if you're looking for that workhorse overstable mid-range. But the newer runs are very beefy, which is why I like them personally. But be warned, if you're going to get one, you're not going to get much distance out of it because the newer runs just hook after the retool. But really reliable. You can throw it on any angle you want. It's just going to hyzer back out. For that reason, I still bag Kias. They are very nice. The Huia. The Huia is an overstable fairway driver, but it beats in to be pretty straight after a while. I actually have a few that I can get to flip quite quickly. This one in particular is very straight at the moment. I personally don't bag a Huia because it kind of doesn't fill a gap for me. It's a little bit too overstable to where usually those shots I would just throw a mid-range because it doesn't have that much distance potential on it. But also the Tarti is kind of slower than what the flight numbers would suggest, so I usually use that for the same types of shots instead, and it's just a little bit more consistent. That being said, I do know a lot of people love these for forehands. I don't personally throw them for forehands, but if you try it and you like it on the forehand, all the more power to you. Next is the Peka Peka. This is a mint Peka Peka first run. They're quite hard to come across because this is the most stable run of Peka Peka. Most other first run Peka Pekas, or just in general Peka Pekas, they're a bit more flippy. This one I can get a decent amount of torque resistance, so I can throw it hard, just have a pop and ride and come back. Whereas some of my other ones I'll find are cut rolling a bit more. That being said, I can throw it really well for standstills or just shots that I need easy distance on. Great beginner driver, very versatile, great roller. Yeah, just a really good all-round sort of hybrid driver. Yeah, sometimes you can get these out as far as your distance drivers, so definitely pick one of these up. Next is the Tarti. This is one of the newer molds from RPM. It's supposed to be something like a slower destroyer, and with this particular run, this is a platinum one, Jackson Sullivan Tour Series one. I really find that to be true. I can get a little bit of turn out of it, but then just has that consistent fade, which is exactly what you're looking for. And I really just like to throw these discs for fun. Again, at Bottle Lake Open, I was relying on this heavily. Controlled distance, just, yeah, it's a really solid driver if you're an advanced, player who can get more than 120 meters on your throw. If it's a little bit less than that, I probably wouldn't recommend it, because if you're using it as an overstable driver, there probably are better options, just because this may not hold up in the wind if you're getting really strong winds. But yeah, if you're looking for something similar to a slower destroyer, definitely try one of these. They still go far. Next up is the Kiwi. This disc is a bit infamous. I will make a video about its backstory at one stage because there's a lot of history behind this disc, but these are so overstable. They might not look it, but this might be one of the most overstable discs I've thrown, aside from, a tilt. But no matter what you do, throw it on anhyzer like that, it'll swoop back round easily. They're just, for me, too overstable. I don't really have a use for them. If you like them, throw them. I think if you have a forehand that's quite rolly, like you tend to roll your wrist or get a little bit of wobble, they could work out for you. They definitely make great utility discs, maybe thumbers, I don't know, I'm not a thumber expert. Yeah, that's the Kiwi. We have the Tarti. This is my favorite distance driver from RPM actually at the moment. It's not as quick as a Caho, it's not as overstable as a Kiwi. It's right in that nice balance where it's stable to where I will get the same flight no matter what, but it's not so overstable, you know, that I'm struggling to get distance out of this. I can still get this, you know, 115, 120 meters. Yeah, I just really like it. Super consistent, super reliable. If I were to throw thumbers, which I don't really, I would probably throw it with this. And it feels really nice in my hand for forehands and backhands. Super reliable on the forehands as well. The only thing is, if you pick up a first run or a prototype Tarti, they are very overstable, almost unthrowably so. But I still bag one because if it's really, really, really windy, I know that disc will not struggle at all. That's so overstable. Next up we have Cahos. This is the mold from RPM that has 3 sub-molds, I guess you would call it. I'll go through them one by one. First one is just a stock standard Caho. Yeah, it's just RPM's distance driver. For me, it just doesn't have enough glide, so I prefer another variation of it, the XG. We'll get to that in a second. But these, depending on the run, should just be a pretty neutral distance driver, not too flippy, not too stable, something right in the middle. The low profile makes them great for forehands if you're a forehand expert. And yeah, they're just a really versatile all-round driver. The first sort of offshoot from the main Caho is a Caho XG. These are just a more domey, slightly more understable Caho. For the most part, they're actually fairly similar to Cahos, but a little bit more flippy. You definitely see it in the distance. I probably get another 10 meters out of these. Beautiful for forehands because of that nice in the middle stability, like I say, not too stable, not too flippy, just reliable. For me, this would be more of a tailwind driver. I probably wouldn't trust it in the wind, especially a headwind. But yeah, they're just an all-round good distance driver. Next up is the Caho OS. This is probably the most stable disc from RPM. These ones tend to be super flat, super overstable, and you just can't really get them to fly. They're very, very overstable. A lot of them tend to be overweight as well. Not much to say about it. It falls into that same category for me as the Kiwi. It's just like, I don't really need that slot, so I'm not going to use it. Simple as that. If you guys have any video requests, any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll try to get around to making videos. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you got this far, I don't know, you're cool. Thanks.